Do you know what the budget is going to be for Bobby? $1.5 trillion. Do you know who reports to him? FDA, CDC, NIH, Surgeon Attorney General, if I'm not mistaken. All of those report to him, which means the new Fauci has to go through him, which means if he really wanted to investigate and find out, he's officially guy that can pull it off. And by the way, Rob, can you pull up this chart? These two charts, if you can pull up, I just texted to you. So this is how much money we spend in every year compared to everybody else out there. Look at us. We are all the way at the top. 17.8% of our GDP goes to healthcare spending. Look at everybody else. You see right there, the lowest one's Korea. Okay, you see 8.8%. We're at 17.8%. Our 17.8% is $1.5 trillion. You would assume if we spend more money than all of these guys in healthcare, the American people would be living longer, right? I mean, that's just, you would be living longer. Rob, can you show the next picture that I texted you? So watch this one here. This is us. Wow. Look at where we are. 70. Which one are we on that? All the way at the bottom. We are all the way at the bottom. Breed. We are the dying breed. Going down. 77 years old. Look at everybody else, by the way. Japan is going 84. Korea, 83.5. And they spend 8.8. We spend 18% of our GDP. And we're at a number like this. By the way, just in 1980, the discrepancy between us and the average around the world was 0.9, meaning we lived 0.9 years less. 45 years later, 44 years later, we're living 5 years less. So everywhere else, they're living longer. We're living 5 years less than everywhere else in the world. So then the question becomes what? Where the hell is this money going into? Is it the lobbyists? When you go through all these things that you look at, these foods that are not allowed in EU, in Russia, in other countries, but we're allowing it here. Why are we allowing some of the cereal, ketchup? The way fries are made in U.S. versus U.K. You ever seen this, how we make it here? Rob, can you pull up McDonald's fries made in U.S. versus U.K.? And where they store the potatoes. You hear about where they store these potatoes? Oh, with the chemicals, and they house them for weeks on. Oh, it's ridiculous. Just go to the left one right there. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, yeah, if you can. Okay, check this out. This is us versus UK, all right? Look at the amount of preservatives we're putting in. Look at what they're doing. Simple. You go to... And we're still both using the oils, the vegetable oils, instead of the beef tallow from the old days. Yeah, we are, meaning even UK is using some of that, but in. And he starts saying, no, we're not going to be doing this. No, we're not going to be doing that. No, we're not going to be doing this. Lobbyists are officially having to find a way. These companies are going to have to spend a lot of money to go after Bobby and those guys, because when you look at the stock right now, what do you see with the stock? Here's what you see with the stock. Vaccine stock hit by Bobby Kennedy nomination. Rob, do you have the clip on this, or is that an image that you're going to show? Because it's yellow on this. I also have a clip. Can you play the clip on this? Vaccine stock. Why would vaccine stock take a hit? Oh, weird. It's interesting, right? Play this clip, Rob.
Shares in global vaccine makers fell sharply on Friday. Markets were spooked by US President-elect Donald Trump's pick to run the Department of Health and Human Services. He's chosen Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has previously spread misinformation.
Here we go.
There it is. Kennedy, who is a vaccine skeptic, has been criticised for making false medical claims, including that vaccines are linked to autism. Several medical scientists on Friday said they were alarmed that vital vaccination efforts could be undermined. Shares in Britain's GSK were down over 3%.
Right there. You got another one here. Processed food stock drops after RFK announcement. Stock of major processed food companies dropped significantly after Bobby Kennedy was picked as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Nestle and Kraft Heinz reached 52-week lows, while PepsiCo fell nearly 4%. Coca-Cola dropped 1%. General Mills dipped 2%. Campbell's Soup dropped 3%. Trump described Kennedy's appointment as a step to combat the industrial food complex. Industrial food complex and its deception, misinformation, and disinformation on public health. Kennedy criticized U.S. food safety standards, pointing out that the additives like potassium, bromate, and brominated vegetable oil banned in Europe are still allowed in the U.S. and stated, enough is enough. President Trump and I are going to stop the mass poisoning of American children, accusing Democrats of neglecting to address these issues despite their health care platform.
So, you've had smart people on this show. I know that. You have them every week. So you've heard a lot of this. This is a vicious cycle that we can all analyze. How is it possible that we're spending more percentage-wise GDP on health and getting worse results than everyone else? First of all, it's the input. It's the food that's making us sick and obese. And then we do not actually have a health-based society. We have a medicinal-based society. Once the problem is there, we treat it with pharmaceuticals. Get this medicine, get that medicine. And I'm sure if we went around this table, we're all guilty of it in some degree. We're taking something for some reason from vanity to what's prescribed as health to us. And that is market industry countrywide. And that cycle, by the way, is not virtuous. It's not perpetuating health. Get sick, get fat, take this medicine. It feeds a beast of money that does not produce real health outcomes. That's what RFK is tasked with. Look at that cycle right there. Tom. Well, you know, what's interesting is the stock market is based on subscription. Whether you believe it or not, it's based on subscribers. Now, you may have a contract for your cell phone. You may have a contract for your cable TV. But all brands and companies want recurring revenue with the emphasis on recurring because that's how you drive the stock market. And this medicinal-based society, and I love the fact that you called it that well, is to create subscribers. Not cured people, not healthy people. I want to create a diabetic subscriber for life. That you'll wear the thing that'll meter your insulin for life. Don't worry about your weight. Don't worry about health. Don't worry about seeing if maybe your health-based diabetes can somehow maybe be reversed if you were to get more healthy and then find out if you could be at a recovery point. And what would your true diabetic status be at that point? You know, it's possible, not impossible. Instead, we want subscribers. And so the pharmaceutical wants subscribers. They want a pill for your ill, and they want America to be in the mindset of two things. One, it's not your fault. We'll get a medicine for that. And two, the microwave society. I want instant gratification, I want it to fix. No problem, we have a pill for you. So that's the way it is, because you know what the perfect drug that illustrates this is? And I don't begrudge people that are taking it. It's Ozempic. It's the perfect example of this cycle. That one drug. Oh, the shit we fed you made you fat? Here's a drug that will now take the fat away. Yeah. Right, and just keep paying us. Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason I use models today. So many people are selling it, and there's different companies. It's not just Ozempic. There's multiple brands that are selling it right now. It's so popular across the board. So many people you see, like you haven't seen it for 3 months. You're like, why did this go in? How did you get your cheeks? You notice nobody says anymore, hey, what are you doing? Yeah. I know. What's your exercise routine? It's like stolen valor and war. Like nobody says what's your diet and how you exercise, and we just kind of have to walk around going, could be the pill. What's really interesting is I saw the 2 clips that just banged around in my head because I'm weird. Number one, you saw Qatar say, Muslim Brotherhood, get out. Because as soon as he's inaugurated, we're going to have trouble. That is a pre-reaction. That is Qatar saying, hey, we're small. We're not like Saudi. We got to get positioned here. Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas, get out of my country because I don't want trouble. Right. Kraft Heinz pulled Lunchables. Lunchables have been pulled. Remember those old things? Yeah. Because of the sodium and chemical content and stuff, and Consumers Reports came out and said, there is nothing that resembles healthy food in this thing, and Bobby Kennedy gets announced. And so what are they doing? They're pulling it. Why? They're pulling it in advance so that they can get the market ready for the adjustments they have to make in revenue because they're pulling a major product. But there is no difference between what the CEO of Kraft Heinz did and what the Prime Minister of Qatar did. Trump is coming, change is coming, and they're pre-reacting. No, I just hope he takes care of himself, Pat, because think about it, you're going after Big Pharma is no joke. The food is no joke. And I think the reaction of the American people and these institutions, like, cause some people are getting mad, like, he's going to come in and change the fries, and and it's like, it's almost as if they have Stockholm syndrome, where they've fallen in love with the abuser, which is the government and everything, and now they're defending these people. They're addicted. They're addicted to it. If you try to take Ozempic or this stuff away from people, they're going to lose their mind. By the way, here's what's wild. This is Bobby, RF Kennedy Jr., right? Yep. You know what show? With Morgan the Days. Scarborough Country, okay, with MSNBC. And they're talking about autism. By the way, you could do this back then. You couldn't do it during COVID. God forbid you brought it up. I don't know how many. If I was to tell you we had 5 strikes on YouTube on autism, I'm giving you a low number. And I think 3 of them I got because I had him on multiple times and a couple other guys. If you even had the dispute or the argument 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, YouTube was not having it. Rob, play this clip here from them having a conversation. I don't know what year this is, Rob, if you can tell us what year this is, but it's quite a while ago. Go ahead.
My son, born in 1991, has a slight form of autism called Asperger's. But it seems, and again, when I was practicing law, and also when I was in Congress, parents would constantly come to me, and they bring me videotapes of their children, and they're all around the age of my son or younger. The generation happened in 1989. Exactly. The generation, what happened was the vaccine schedule was increased. We went up from receiving about 10 vaccines in our generation to these kids. 24 vaccines, and they all had this thimerosal and this mercury.
Way more now.
And nobody bothered to do an analysis of what the cumulative impact of all that mercury was doing to kids. As it turns out, we are injecting our children with 400 times the amount of mercury that FDA or EPA considers safe. A child, on his first day that he's born, is injected with a hepatitis B shot. Under EPA guidelines, he would have to be 275 pounds to safely absorb that shot. And yet we're just constantly pumping our kids with these vaccines.
Look at him.
What happened?
He's scoring.
What happened was that in 1988...
Now, pause that, Rob. In 2020, I'll never forget, we're doing our podcast. We had 47,000 viewers. Concurrent viewers, we had 6,700. We're at the office. We leave. I go home the next day. News comes out. Biden's probably going to be the president. Of course, it takes a few weeks. Everybody around me is, what's going to happen? COVID, Biden, what are we going to do? We step back, we put a plan together, and the last 4 years have been the most ridiculous 4 years of our lives because we sequenced everything out. 15 moves, business, personal life, finances, all of it. Now that Trump's president, that same strategy that worked in 2020 should be different than the one we have in 2024. Tonight at 6 o'clock, I'm hosting a webinar called the No Matter What webinar. Tom and I will be sharing with you guys what we're planning on doing in the next 4 years, and some of the strategies that you ought to consider doing as well for yourself the next 4 years, especially when we're coming down to business planning season. Right now it's November 19th. January 1st is going to be here like in the next 6 weeks. And those of you guys that got big plans in 2025, planning starts now. Go to vtwebinar.com, vtwebinar.com. Put it in your calendar. It's only 5,000 people that can be on. We don't have it more than 5,000 people. We'll start at 6 o'clock. I'll give a PowerPoint presentation to you guys, and then we'll go from there. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos,